I think it's fair to say that TVS have essentially perfected the scooter game. I mean, look at the Jupiter 110. It completely swept away all the awards last year, and for good reason. It's such a bloody good scooter. And now they've launched the much anticipated NTorq 150 based on the highly successful NTorq 125 platform. What better place to review it than where it belongs, in the urban jungle. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit distracted because I'm riding around in the city in all of this chaos. But coming back to the scooter, yeah, so this is essentially based on the NTorq 125, but has a bigger engine, 149cc engine, which pumps out 13.2 PS, 14.2 Newton meters of torque, and it is bloody good. It's really, really engaging to ride. But even more impressive is just how light the scooter is at 115 kgs wet. And to add to that, you also have this iGo assist feature, which is like a mild hybrid system that TVS have incorporated to give you that small 0.7 Newton meters worth of boost during those quick overtakes. You have two shots which are available, which you can use in quick succession. Thereafter, the entire system takes about 3 or 4 minutes to reboot to give you that boost all over again. It's designed for the urban environment, so you don't have to keep the throttle pinned for it to kick in. It kicks in when it realizes that there's an urgency the way you're opening the throttle that you want to overtake. So it's really, really helpful and engaging when you're riding it in the urban jungle. But to be honest, what has really impressed me the most is the refinement that this engine brings to the table. So even though compared to its competition, this is air-cooled, dude, this is so smooth and properly strong, good enough for a top speed of 104 kilometers per hour. And even then, even at such higher speeds, the engine stays almost completely buzz-free. So yeah, I cannot shower enough praises on TVS on how good this engine performs. And that's just the start of it, because so let's start with the ergonomics. I'm 5'11" and I fit on this really well. And the seat is wide enough to also accommodate a similar sized pillion. One of the biggest reasons why this is so comfortable is also down to the ride quality. Now TVS have been smart. They have basically taken the middle ground. This is a sportier scooter, which is definitely on the firmer side, but they have tuned the suspension for more compliance over bad roads. And that's why I think this will be such a big hit with audiences, because yes, it's definitely sporty. You'll have a lot of fun in corners. That's where the 12-inch wheels come in play, which gives this scooter really good agility and still feels really sure-footed, and you feel a lot more connection with what the front is doing. But at the same time, they've gone for a suspension setup which is definitely a lot more compliant than its competition, which I think is the right way to go, because at the end of the day, it's a scooter. Yeah, you obviously also want it for its versatility, its utility in the city, and where comfort matters a lot. The only place where I feel the 12-inch wheels may have a disadvantage compared to 14-inch wheels is at higher speeds, because the scooter is quite quick. It is very much capable of going at 100 kilometers an hour. And at that point, let's say if you're going at 100 and then you hit a bad patch, that's where you can feel that the 12-inch wheels are not as stable, don't provide the same kind of stability as 14-inch wheels do. But otherwise, I think this is not really much of a compromise. Next, let's talk about space. That's another place where this one scores really high, and that's down to the fact that you don't have a beam in the center, which means you have the entire floorboard, which you use in the city. You also have a 22-liter boot, which I know by TVS's own Jupiter standards is not as big, but still gets the job done, especially considering that you have a small compartment right here. So overall, you have decent space for a sporty scooter. So if you have a scooter which is going that fast, you obviously need good brakes. And I think the brakes are really good in terms of feel, in terms of feedback, and you also have the safety net of the single channel ABS. It's a disc at the front and drum at the back kind of setup, which you have seen, which is common in this segment. What is essentially one of the lightest, one of the fastest accelerating scooters in this segment. You needed good brakes, and TVS have delivered. And not just that, even when you want to relax, you're not in a mood and you want to extract the best fuel economy, this scooter will oblige. We have been riding around essentially in the race mode, and I've still managed to get around between 37 to 38 kilometers per liter. But then you also have two riding modes. You also have the street mode, which is a lot more mellowed down, which doesn't give you the same amount of power, which doesn't give you the same amount of torque. And the throttle response is also not as instantaneous, which is exactly what you need if you want better fuel economy. So I'm pretty sure that once you hit the highway, or if you're riding around in the street mode, you'll get even better fuel economy. And then, as is common with TVS, what we have come to expect, this is loaded with tech. You get this TFT screen on the top spec variant, traction control, your Bluetooth connectivity, this has turn-by-turn navigation, call alerts, message alerts, all the things that we have come to expect, they're all here. One of the biggest things which I love about this is the provision of over-the-air updates, which I think is going to be crucial and make your life so much easier to get the updates directly on your scooter, which will of course be improved and bettered by TVS over the next couple of years. So that's a welcome addition. The only places that I could complain about is that even though I love the TFT, I hate the fact that they have not given out range, nor have they given out fuel economy or instant fuel economy. And even though you can customize these widgets, that provision is not given by TVS, which is surprising considering that they themselves, the reasoning behind the street mode and how it's mellow and how the street mode doesn't get the iGo assist feature, is because they wanted to prove that this scooter can also give really good fuel economy. So I don't know why they've skipped out on the fuel economy tab on the screen. And the other thing, of course, is very subjective, is the way this looks. One thing that you can be assured of is that this scooter will undoubtedly turn heads. Yeah, it is really bold, it's really stylish, it's really out there. It has these 4 projector headlights, this flat kind of handlebar, which from a design perspective is definitely very new, very fresh, and will definitely garner a lot of attention. Even the colorways are quite flashy. I think I'm a little too old for really appreciating that kind of colorways, but yeah, if you want a flashy scooter, which is what most young audiences would want, the NTorq 150 definitely checks that box as well. In terms of the ergonomics, I also like the other things, like you also get adjustable levers, which again is a very small detail which goes a long way in ensuring that the scooter will fit people of all shapes and sizes. Even the seat height, for that matter, is very approachable at 770 millimeters, and even if you're shorter, I don't think the scooter is going to be a problem when it comes to how to handle it at slower speeds, is because again it weighs only 115 kgs. So to summarize, the one thing that the NTorq 150 has gone on to show is that TVS have absolutely nailed this game, because it essentially checks all the boxes that you could ask for. For a sporty scooter, it's really spacious. It fits people of all shapes and sizes. It's really comfortable in terms of the suspension setup as well as the seat. It's also quite spacious also in terms of the space that you have because of floorboard and under the seat. And then you have the engine, which they have absolutely nailed. Despite being an air-cooled engine, the kind of performance that it packs because of the iGo Assist feature that they've introduced, I think it really helps it stand out against very stiff competition. And as far as the looks are concerned, as they say, looks are subjective, so to each their own. But as a package, it's very hard to argue with the NTorq 150, especially considering its price tag of 1.09 lakhs for the base variant, which is essentially the same scooter without the TFT screen. So if you're the kind of guy who doesn't really care about geofencing and live tracking and Alexa integration and smartwatch integration, which are really cool features, but for someone like me, they don't really matter as much. And then The 1.09 lakh price tag makes this scooter an absolute no-brainer. And if you want all of those features, even that will put you back by just another 10,000 rupees at 1.18 lakhs, which I still think is very competitive pricing, especially when you compare it to the Aerox or the Hero Xoom or even the SR 175.